Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Bahashom, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashom, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Isaiah chapter 29, verse 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall seek out of obscurity and out of darkness the elect of the nation of Israel, the nation of Israel consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these other heathen nations, hearing the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai through his prophets out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles online and coming back to their heritage of being Israelites. Verse 19, the meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh because they have hope. They see that this captivity we're living in under the heathens, chiefly of the Edomites, or these so-called white people, which has been a harsh captivity, is not forever and is coming to an end, and we will be at peace, ruling in the kingdom of heaven, as well as getting back at our enemies for all the atrocities they committed against our nation today and in the past. The meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, the terrible one being these Edomites who are being brought to naught right now, spiritually by the words of the prophets, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, out on the highways and byways, out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. And also the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, teaching the doctrine of not GMS, but the 144% true doctrine of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. The men of the Lord are that spiritual prosecution team, bringing out all the crimes of this Edomite, of this Edomite to the judge, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And then the judgment's going to come, that when the terrible one is going to be brought to naught physically, when Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, who doesn't look like an Edomite, a so-called white man with brown stringy hair, but actually has the appearance of a so-called dark-skinned Negro with a white woolly beard and afro. Just read Revelation chapter 1 around verse 18. Yahushai making his second coming to save the elect and make war against these heathens, chiefly these Edomites, and bring an end to their rulership and begin establishing the kingdom of heaven. And the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. These Edomites being taken out of power, and these other heathens, and even the wicked among our people who scorn and scoff at this word and would put us to death if they could, they're going to receive that judgment as well. But here's the point I wanted to get to in verse 21, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. There is a demonization campaign coming against the prophets, preaching the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. This devil is about to pull out all the stops. As it says in Revelation 12, verse 12, he's about to come down in great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time to take this word off the internet, and to take the men of the Lord off the highways and byways, and to put as many of us to death as he can, because this word is what is bringing about the end of his the end of his rulership, not picking up guns and opening up schools and food kitchens or anything like that. As it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. This word is what's bringing down this man spiritually right now, like I just said, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and then finally physically when Yahushai makes his second coming. And I opened up the video with these verses to preface a little bit of information to show how that terrible one that maketh a man an offender for a word is about to lay that snare or that trap for us to keep this word from going out. This is an article from apnews.com titled Biden Releases New Strategy to Tackle Rise in Anti, and you can see that word, but for the video I'll be saying anti-simulation, says hate will not prevail. And this is just one of the traps and snares that the elites of these Edomites are going to set to make a man an offender for a word, saying that what we preach is anti-simulationism. And hey, we preach that those small hats over in the Holy Land, as well as across the planet, calling themselves the people of the Most High. They aren't the people of the Most High. They're Edomites as well, of the tribe of Amalek, who have stolen our heritage from us. They're imposters. And that is a very powerful stronghold that those Amalekite Edomites have used to gain sympathy and power in this rulership. So don't be surprised with all these bills passing. And hey, brothers are already getting their videos clipped for so-called anti-simulationism, that they put us on the news along with these so-called, white Edomite supremacists as being mega hate groups out there pushing anti-simulationism. They're black identity extremists. They're domestic terrorists. We need to do whatever we can to take them off the street corners because they're inciting violence. And what can they link that to? Those FF events, such as what happened at that kosher market in New Jersey. And you had around that time too, you had a stabbing of a few rabbis by a guy who had a manifesto, of course, talking about, what did he say? Israelite Ebonites, so-called black Hebrew Israelites. They can pull up those FF, and you should know what FF stands for, examples, and say, look, we have clear evidence that they've caused violence out here. We got to get them off the highways and byways, and we especially got to take this message off the internet. And we know through the scriptures that a famine of the word is coming, and it's coming very quickly. This is Amos chapter 8. I'm going to read verses 11 to 13. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, though famines of food and water are coming as well, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, the famine of the word, where you're no longer going to be able to find the men of the Lord on the highways and byways or these video epistles online. And they shall wander from sea to sea and from the north, even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh and shall not find it. And once that famine hits, whatever you didn't get, hey, you're going to have to deal with it in that day. That terrible day of Jacob's trouble, when Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah is going to start enacting those massive judgments on the wicked of our people and these heathen nations out here for all the iniquity they've been committing. In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. You Israelites, again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who spent this time of liberty when the word was freely available to scoff at the word, as it says in 2 Esdras chapter 9, when place of repentance was open unto them, they despised it and cast it behind them. Roughly paraphrasing, you're going to have to receive that judgment in that day. As it also says in 2 Esdras chapter 9, for they shall know it after death by pain. So it would behoove you, if you're an Israelite, to spend this time of liberty drinking from these rivers of living waters while you still can, before this spigot is turned off, so you can get as much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as you can to be your stability during the times of Jacob's trouble, as it says in Isaiah 33 verse 6. But let's get back into this article. Salakia. And it was published on May 25th of 2023. President Joe Biden on Thursday announced what he said is the most ambitious and comprehensive undertaking by the U.S. government to fight hate, bias, and violence against, what word do I want to use? Against ooze, outlining more than 100 steps the administration and its partners can take to combat an alarming rise in anti-simulationism. Speaking during a videotaped address at the White House, Biden said the first U.S. national strategy to counter anti-simulationism sends a clear and forceful message that in America, evil will not win, hate will not prevail, and the venom and violence of anti-simulationism will not be the story of our time. Well, hey, if hate and violence doesn't prevail in America, then why don't you go talk to them people in Iraq or in Afghanistan? Or how about those Palestinians that are getting killed by those weapons bought with U.S. money that's been sent to those ooze over there? Months in the making, the strategy has 4 basic goals: increasing awareness and understanding of anti-simulationism, including its threats to America, and broadening appreciation of Jewish American heritage, the Federal Reserve, improving safety and security for Jewish communities, reversing the normalization of anti-simulationism, and countering anti-simulanetic discrimination, and building cross-community solidarity and collective action to counter hate. And hey, just by the simple fact that I have to speak in codes and more or less come up with new words, just goes to show how close we really are to this fame of the word coming to pass. And lest we forget what happened to Kanye West and Kyrie Irving when they mentioned just a little bit about, so-called black people being the Israelites, and those 1948ers, those ooze, not being the true people. Hey, they were crucified in the media, and a lot of that was staged and set up, hey, to further bring heat upon this truth. But it just gives us an example of the force and might that the elites of these Edomites are going to use with their control over the news and the media and social media and government policy to really bring that demonization campaign against us, making a man an offender for a word and laying that snare. 1948er organizations largely applauded the administration's efforts. 1948er safety is inextricably linked to the safety of other communities and the health and vibrancy of our multiracial democracy, said Amy Spitalnik, CEO of the UISH Council for Public Affairs. If they're so concerned about multi-racial democracy, then why, when you go over to the Holy Land, they discriminate against non-white people that identify as Jewish? You can find plenty of accounts of Israelites, specifically the Southern Kingdom, your so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans, so-called black. They were raised Jewish, but it was under their Orthodox Judaism, and they said that when they went to those schools for them, that they were discriminated against. One teacher asked one Israelite girl, "What are you doing here? Like, you aren't the people, you darky." As we see anti-simulationism and extremism increasingly normalized in our politics and our society, the urgency of this framework is even more clear. The strategy also calls on Congress, state, and local governments. Listen to this: tech companies, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, these other platforms like YouTube, just the internet and social media in general, and other private businesses, faith leaders, and others to help combat bias and hate directed at the 1948ers. Tech companies are asked to establish zero-tolerance policies against anti-simulanetic content on their platforms. The U.S. Hold Cause Memorial Museum has committed to launching an education research center. Professional sports leagues and clubs are asked to use their platforms and clout to raise awareness. That just goes to show that your celebrities and your politicians, your politicians, but your celebrities, your sports stars, your rappers, anybody that's set up in this society as somebody, hey, they've got strings attached to them, a hand in their back telling them exactly what to do. The White House Public Engagement Office will invite members of the public to describe how they have supported Jewish, Muslim, or other communities that are different from their own. So with this article, you get the point. But hey, as we can clearly see, that devil is setting these snares, these traps to make a man an offender for a word, to further demonize this word and take the men of the Lord off the highways and byways and these video epistles offline, because it's getting more and more just obvious with the day that those 1948ers aren't the true people of the book. With all the work that the prophets have been doing, perfectly breaking down the scriptures, people are starting to wake up to that fact. And those 1948ers and these Edomites as a whole can't have that. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I was originally just going to get 3 and 4, but I'm going to read down a bit. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, when the 12 tribes as a majority fell away from their identity as Israelites. You had the Northern Kingdom, or the so-called Latinos and Native Americans over here in Arsareth, or the Americas, calling themselves Choctaw, Apache, Aztec, Mayan, all that. And then with 70 AD, you had the Southern Kingdom going to the west coast of Africa and follow after many different things. A lot of them cleaved unto Islam and became the Moors. And of course, you had the Israelites that were ruling Europe during the Dark Ages, being so-called, Christians under Roman Catholicism, Christianity. Except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And the man of sin, the son of perdition, or utter destruction, has been revealed to be the so-called white man, who is the biblical Edomite. And the top tribe of the Edomites are these Amalekites, calling themselves the Uz, the 1948ers, with their religion of Judaism. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. An example of that being during the Renaissance with iconoclasm, taking down the dark images, the Negroid images of the Most High and his Son, as well as the apostles, the angels, and the Israelites, and replacing them with the images of so-called white people, Edomites. Fast forward to today, people think that those 1948ers are the children of the Most High. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time, which are the times we're living in right now, the last seconds of Esau's rulership, where all his secrets, that covering cast, which he put over the planet, is being taken off. All things done in darkness come into light. Who the true Israelites are, who the Edomites are, what these biblical prophecies are actually saying. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed. The wicked in Job 9 verse 24. The wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of. And who owns, these major industries out there? Not just Edomites, but specifically those Amalekites, the banking industry with the Rothschilds, oil with the Rockefellers, who are crypto ooze. A lot of these different oil companies came out of Standard Oil, which was started by the Rockefellers, Hollywood, the diamond industry, all these other major industries out here. Those Amalekites took quite a hefty part of that blessing of the Edomites. And then shall that wicked be revealed, the border of wickedness in Malachi 1 verse 4, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Spiritually with the prophets prophesying against him and breaking down these scriptures to show who he is, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Yahweh's second coming to again save his elect and put an end to these heathens, beginning with these Edomites, is rulership. So these Edomites, beginning with their elites, have a vested interest to do whatever they can, create any snares or traps or whatever to keep this word from going out, to try to avert biblical prophecy from coming to its fulfillment. But as it says in Isaiah 55, verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. Nothing can stop biblical prophecy from coming to its fulfillment. Nothing can stop you Edomites from being revealed, your rulership being taken away, the children of Israel waking up, and the kingdom of heaven being established. But between here and there, to you sincere Akim and Akwat out there, heavy persecution is coming from all angles. The news, social media, as well as your own loved ones. So right now, be preparing your spirit to take anything that this kingdom is about to throw at us. But now I'm going to go to my second bit of information. And it's from Redacted's YouTube channel. This is a clip from, I believe, a longer video. But the title of this is Warning, DPCA 2023. And I'm going to play the majority of the clip, but just listen carefully. Remember that in that first article we read on AP News, the Biden administration was looking at tech companies, social media companies, internet companies to do what they can to combat anti-simulationism and just hate speech in general.
With behavioral codes by the U.S. government based on your social media, if this new bill is passed, it would create a federal government that has full access to police and control every website. I am not kidding, literally every single one. Not only that, the government would create a new federal agency that is it's online police. They could launch investigations and fine you based on what you say. And it is not like the FBI, where if they accuse you of something, you get your day in court. No, their word on your online behavior would be final.
This is unbelievable.
Their word on your online behavior would be final. Them setting up that snare to make a man an offender for a word. Hey, these different agencies to police the internet being set up to combat anti-simulationism, hate speech, domestic terrorism, black identity extremism.
Now, I know this sounds scary, and this is one of those segments where I'm going to show you bits of the bill that I think are concerning. I know that doesn't always make for amazing television, and Clayton will lecture me later about screenshots of bills. But anyway, I think we need to educate ourselves about this, and we absolutely should tell our representatives what we think of it. So hold on tight. I know I've already lost you at new federal agency, because federal agencies did not have a good week last week with the Durham report, with the FBI whistleblowers,
CIA.
With new revelations that the FBI has been using 9/11 powers to survey Americans. Over almost 300,000 times last week, that was revealed. And they said, oh, that's not in the rules. We got confused about the Justice Department emails. So, okay, here's what this is. This is from the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2023. Came out from these two Democratic senators, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet and also Vermont Senator Peter Welch. Now, what they're couching this as is a need for AI regulation. We've talked about this a lot. You know, tech giants are sort of warning that AI is going to run away from us too fast and then take over in short order. But is that what this bill is? It's not. It's not that at all. AI is barely mentioned in this bill other than a cautionary tale. What it does is give the government full access to every social media and website that operates inside the United States. I'm not kidding. Look at the jurisdiction. That's how they define it, is basically, any digital platform.
Any digital platform, the services of which originate or are received within the United States. So they get access to overseas.
Yes.
As well.
If Americans access it, or it can be accessed in the United States, that's their business. What they would...
And you've got brothers all across the planet preaching this word and uploading it to the internet. And it's being beamed across the internet in their countries and in America. And so they looking to get every bit of this truth from the four corners of the earth off the internet.
Call this is the Federal Digital Platform Commission. Federal Digital Platform Commission. It's like the FCC for the internet. Here's what their job would be, and it's 7 things that they lay out. They would access digital platform for civic engagement, they say, access to government services and public safety, competition to encourage the creation of new online services, prevention of harmful levels of concentration of private power. Okay, put a pin in that one. That sounds a little concerning. That means they don't want private individuals to basically have any power to have a website and then use that power. Number 5, a robust and competitive marketplace.
And we're private individuals. They just want that mainstream narrative to go back out there to lull the people back into sleep.
Of ideas with a diversity of view. Yes, the government really wants diversity of view. Can we go to the next one, please? Number 6, protection for consumers, including communities of color and underserved population, from deceptive, unfair, unjust, unreasonable, or abusive practices committed by digital platforms.
A protection for communities of color and other, and underserved populations. And what did we read about in that first article? The Biden administration's calling on, the sports industry, private companies, faith leaders, and internet companies to do what they can to combat anti-simulationism as well as discrimination against other groups out there.
And number 7, assurance that the algorithmic
to keep this multiracial democracy, in quotes, flourishing.
Process of digital platforms are fair, transparent, and safe. Okay, that one concerns me a lot. Who just laughed? Go ahead.
David fell out of his chair.
Because they use these terms that are subjective. It's like, and it just leaves it open for interpretation however they want to interpret those words. And I always say that if you're going to go after people that cause fear, you have to do it to the least common denominator, the weakest among us.
Yes.
Because nobody can be hurt. And that just drives me insane.
Right. And so think about this idea of marginalized communities, right? And then if you can make the point that, let's say, me saying any words that makes you think, oh, this might not be fair, might be then flipped on its head and called hate speech and then downranked. I mean, I'm going to make this point later about how COVID behavior would have and could have been downranked, that kind of thing. So again, right away, we need to be wary that the government wants to access all digital platforms, but says, don't worry, we're doing this for civic engagement. Raise your hand if you believe that. And if we play this out a little, like we have platforms like we're streaming right now on Rumble.
Real quick, just in case this is a fair use copyright disclaimer, I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
So again, right away, we need to be wary that the government wants to access all digital platforms, but says, don't worry, we're doing this for civic engagement. Raise your hand if you believe that. And if we play this out a little, like we have platforms like we're streaming right now on Rumble, which have refused to censor topics such as COVID, elections, gender ideology, you name it. This bill would give the government a driver's license inside of Rumble. And Rumble couldn't say then, well, we don't want to downrank this conversation. We don't want to censor this conversation. They would have no choice. Twitter, we've shown how.
Point blank, period. Doesn't matter if you post information on BitChute, Odyssey, or Rumble. Once they come with this legislation and these laws, it's going to put everybody under that blanket and take them down. There's a certain guy from Boston named Richie who had a heavy presence on YouTube, but then he started getting banned and had to go to these other platforms, and he found that I believe it was either BitChute or Odyssey. When he had uploaded his videos there, it would automatically try to upload it to his YouTube page, which just goes to show that everything is linked out there. And when they come for YouTube, hey, everything else is coming down with it. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time.